Hi, this is Bhavna Arora, and I'm an author. Oh, it's so nice to see all of you here. Yes, so I'm here to talk about my life, about my books, and the work that I have done. Sorry for a little bit of delay. There were some technical glitches which we've taken care of now. How is your quarantine going? I'm really having a nice time. They always say that you should always be careful what you wish for. I always wanted to leave my job and sit at home, and so here I am. Um, yes, some of us cannot really sit at home because of the responsibilities that they have, because of the families they have. But I would still suggest that all of you should be careful once you step out of your houses. You have to take all the precautions, and I'm sure day and night we keep listening to the same thing again and again, but it is very, very important. So nice to see you. So I can see Vibhor here. I can see Vishal Luhani. I can see Shri Ram. Hi, Shri Ram. Hello, Harvinder uncle. Okay, so there's somebody that I know. Gaurav Yadav. Hi. Okay, talking about the books, I have written 4 books till now. I'm 4 books down. And I started writing in the year 2014. 2014 was my first book, The Deliberate Sinner. And the subject of the book was really interesting. It spoke about a lot of people do place it in the erotica genre for good reasons, but it did speak about women's sexuality. It spoke about women empowerment. It spoke about the sexual needs of women. Hello uncle, how are you? Hello Savneet. Hi Kamya. Hi Paresh. Hi Lokender. So yes, so it spoke about women's satisfaction in terms of sexual needs. So it was quite a challenging task for me to write that book at that stage and age. But I think I did a fantabulous job, because the book was on the #1 bestseller list for about a few months, and it did exceptionally well in terms of its sales. Sales is like, of course, one number, which helps us to know how well a particular project has done. But I cannot just confine it to sales. What was the best part? That it really helped people to relate to the content, of the script that I had written there. So, yeah, going by my second book, Mistress of Honor. Mistress of Honor speaks about the major Indian Army operations, starting from IPKF to Blue Star to Kargil. And it is a story that spans across 2 generations. The son-in-law and the father-in-law. It speaks about the army behind these brave soldiers. It speaks about we often speak about the sacrifices that the army officers make, but what is the strength behind those brave officers is also of something it's very important. And I speak about these brave ladies behind the curtain, who are giving so much of support to the brave soldiers. Then my third book was Love by the Way, which was again a very, very challenging task for me, because it spoke about bisexuality. And it was quite a taboo, because I think by that time Article 377, we were still fighting around it in the Supreme Court, and we did come victorious. So a lot of people did ask me that, why bisexuality? You could have written on gayism, or you could have written on lesbianism. But I preferred writing on bisexuality because somewhere it also gives us the idea of freedom, freedom to make a choice, freedom to choose. Then talking about my fourth book, it is Undaunted, which is the recent one. It came out in 2017 and it's very, very close to my heart. I can't say that the other books are not, because they're all my babies. But then if you ask me, a mother always has a favorite baby, and if she doesn't, she's lying. So yeah, as a mother, if you ask me which one is my favorite baby, I would definitely say that it is Undaunted. But anyhow, I am really, really open to questions now. So I would be very happy if you could, post some questions that I would be happy to answer. Okay, so here, will the next be with army as the background? Hopefully, yes. I would love to work on an army book again, because it's because the kind of affiliation that I have with the entire organization, and also because I think this is where my heart lies, so I will be able to do a better job if I write on that. But yeah, I'm open to the other topics as well. Okay, so let me pick up a few more questions over here. Yeah, so Undaunted is in the background. Yeah, as you can see, yes, it is my favorite till date. What is your favorite book genre? I don't have a genre actually. I would love to pick up anything that's written well. So not anything particular, but I would love to pick up anything that's written well with a lot of passion and with a lot of hope and inspiration. I hope that answers your question. Sarfaz Malik, what inspired you to write The Deliberate Sinner, Mistress of Honor, Love by the Wind, Undaunted? Okay, so this is a very heavy question. Okay, so let me talk about Deliberate Sinner first, and maybe we can come to the other books a little later. Deliberate Sinner was inspired by my own aunt. She was 21 when she got married, and it was a completely arranged marriage, and everybody thought that he is the perfect match for her, because when you talk about social status, perfect. When you talk about the caste, when you talk about the religion, when you talk about any other thing that people consider during an arranged marriage match, so everything was just perfect. Even the Janam Kundlis were perfect, but then after she got married, within a span of 3 months, we discovered that her husband was impotent. And in a situation like that, what do you do? Either you can go ahead and be stifled in a marriage where you're compromising on everything, more so your happiness. So at that point in time, where I'm talking about my aunt, my grandparents took a decision of taking a divorce for her, and today she's happily married with 2 kids. And I go back to that time and I wonder, if all these things were a major part of matchmaking, then I think she would have been married with the same guy and very unhappy. But that wasn't the case, and she's happier now. So this is what inspired me. And of course, so Deliberate Sinner talks on 2 subjects. One is, of course, the sexual satisfaction of women, and so sorry about that. So this is not my office, this is my home, so you're bound to hear such noises, maybe you'll hear a few dogs barking here and there. So okay, coming back to the topic, so it also deals with infidelity, like how fidelity is important in a relationship. So I wrote this book in 2014, but in terms of being an author and in terms of being a human, I think I have evolved from, talking about fidelity and infidelity. And if you go to love, by the way, it is talking more about honesty than fidelity, where I've said that we're humans, we're not dogs, So I think honesty is a virtue which is closer to humans than loyalty or fidelity. Again, that's my personal opinion. If you do not agree with it, then you're wrong. Okay, let me move on to the next question. Hi, Robin. So, what is your next book about? So, my next book would definitely, it's still in the process. I still have to go ahead and get some permissions for it to write it. But it's not going to be a biography, but I am definitely hoping to write a non-fiction again, because it's more challenging and more interesting. Even as an author, it gives a lot of insight about a lot of things that you've not explored before. So it's definitely going to be a non-fiction. Kamya, when did you first realize that you wanted to be an author? Kamya, so I always wanted to be an author. There was never a time when I thought that I would be something else, but I ended up being everything else but an author. But there was a time when I thought that I have age in hand, and I have age in hand, and this is the time where I can actually take a chance, because a little later in life it would be difficult for me to venture out of my comfort zone. And it usually happens as you get older. You do not want to get out of your comfort zone and start something new. So that's what. So, in 2014 is where I left a very well-paying job, and sometimes it pinches, and I left it and I sat down to be a full-time author. So far, so good, and I'm really enjoying it. Okay, Sriram, how do you manage to do such deep and authentic research for your books? Sriram, thank you. It's a beautiful question. I'll tell you that it is actually very difficult to write a non-fiction, and it's not that the fiction does not need research. The fiction also needs research, but it's the passion and the intensity that you want to put out there for the readers. First you need to have it within you, and then you want to put it out for the readers, because when they read it, let's say I have written something on bisexuality where I'm talking about two girls falling in love. So it was a very difficult concept for me to sink in, like, how can two girls fall in love? I mean, how can this happen? Like, the whole concept was new. But then I met a few girls like that. I spoke to them. I spent a lot of time with them. It took me about 6 months of research to actually understand that how two women, and what they have gone through and what has helped them, to make this bond so strong between them. So yes, and so this is this is the fiction part of it that I'm talking about. Fiction, again, you can still maneuver, you can write, with some fantasy in your mind, but you cannot do that with non-fiction. So when I was writing Undaunted, I just can't afford to go wrong there, because Undaunted was a book that so many people who knew Umar Fayaz were going to read. And when they were going to read that book, it made a lot of sense for me to write authentic stuff about him. And collecting a story, sometimes even a stone lying there near his house has a story to tell. So you have to make that stone also speak. So you have to go, to that particular stone that probably he's touched or been associated with or sat on it or, wept on it, and talk to that stone to get that authentic storyline, and then it resonates with the audience, it resonates with the public. I hope that answers your question. Akshat, okay, so why are your tweets so sex oriented? I don't know if Akshat is actually complimenting or complaining. So if you're complimenting Akshat, I'm really happy. Thank you so much. And if you're complaining, I can't really do much about it. Okay. Hi Deepti auntie, how are you? So Deepti auntie has been my spiritual guru. She's here watching me, live on the Facebook. Thank you so much for being a part of all the books, auntie. I love you from the bottom of my heart. Okay, so Pooja, which out of 4 books you find yourself most connected and why? So of course, Pooja, I really feel connected with The Undaunted. As I said, like if a mother says that she does not have a favorite baby, she's definitely lying. Yeah, so I really feel connected with Undaunted because of the research that I put in and because of the association that I've had with the Indian Army in whatever small way. What inspired, hi Anika, what inspired you to become an author? So Anika, I was a storyteller right from my childhood. I wanted to tell stories, whether true or not, but I was always fond of telling stories. So I thought, why not? What better way? And like what happens is, you have so much to speak, you have so much to talk, and when people stop listening to you, then you start writing. So this is how you can reach a large audiences. So I thought I had so much to speak, to people. So that's how I ended up being an author. Is Undaunted available in US? I would love to read it. Yes, Vibhor, it is available in US. It's available on Kindle. So yeah, and I think Westland, if I'm not wrong, Westland and Amazon, they had done a promotion, in US where it was hardly any price, So I'm sure you can Kindle it and you'll be able to find it there. Robin, okay, so what is the name of your boyfriend? Robin, for me to give a name of my boyfriend, I need to have a boyfriend. So, unfortunately, I don't. Let me know if you're available. Samir Bhatta, what your observation about innovative power? Say something, also something create. Okay, so innovative, Samir, I'm not very sure when you're talking about innovative power. So what is it that you're talking about? Are you talking about the nuclear plants that we have? Or are you talking about the wind energy? Or are you talking about the solar energy? So if you can be a little more specific, I'll be able to answer this question. And as far as, alternative sources of power are concerned, I think it is very much required in the present scenario that we are going through in the changing times. What was your job before you became an author? So Phanindra, if I'm right. So Phanindra, I was working as an educationist. I was the director administration for a business school in Bangalore. And I did that for 4 years before I took a switch from being an author from being a director to being an author. And as I said, I'm loving it, and I don't regret that decision even a single day in my life. I'm very, very happy with what I'm doing right now. Okay, Shriram, for or against marriages? So this is a very tricky question. I think a lot of people get into marriages because of a lot of family pressure, because of insecurities, because of the rat race, the peer pressure for having children, for financial security, for social security, and so forth and so on. But I think these should never be the reasons for you to get into marriage. The only reason for you to get into marriage should be that you believe in marriage. So if you really believe in marriage, I think that's the only reason that you should get into a marriage. And if you do not, please take your time, because it's easy to be single than to be in an unhappy marriage, I feel. Okay, so what is your opinion about okay, so this is a very interesting question. It says boys locker room or girls locker room, which is worse? Your take. So I think whatever has happened, you should, first of all, we need to acknowledge this fact that these were kids. These were kids who were not majors. They were minors. They were below 18. And you need to handle adolescents in a very, very delicate fashion, because they're still growing up. You can completely hinder the growth of a child. Or, I mean, forget that, we're just talking about the hindering of the growth of a child, but there's much more to it. If because of the ridicule that happened, and I had tweeted this a few days back also, and if you actually watch my Twitter account, I tweet almost on all the current topics, but I did not tweet a single thing about this, because I think it is very, very important. And as a responsible citizen, as a responsible adult, you should stay out of the kids' business. When it's kids' business, it should be their parents, their principals, their relatives who should be handling the issues, and not the entire country. A lot of things happen, even as teenagers. So if we go back as teenagers or as adolescents, we've had our own mischiefs, and of course the level has increased, or the level has gone beyond, from our times to this time. But I think it's important not to get the entire public speaking about it, on social media platforms about such issues. The more you keep them, limited to the people handling these kids, the better it will be. Unfortunately, one kid, because of the ridicule, committed a suicide, which was very, very heartbreaking for me. Kunal Kaushik, hello Bhavna, I hope you and your family, thank you so much Kunal, they're all doing fine. We're all indoors till now, and I haven't stepped out of the house ever since the lockdown. I think even before the lockdown, I haven't about a week before the lockdown, I haven't stepped out of the house. So we are safe, we are fine, we are healthy. Thank you so much, and I hope it's the same with you and your family. Okay, Prabhat, love or lust? Prabhat, इस टाइम पे तो कुछ भी दे दो, कुछ भी चलेगा. I just hope my mom is not watching this live video. But I mean, I don't have a problem. So who says that if you can't have sugar, don't have salt too, So I'm okay. If I can't have sugar, I'll have salt. So it's very tricky, love and lust, because when you talk about love, you are the one who's going to give love and lust everything in a relationship. So you go all out. But when you're talking about me, like if I have to accept it, so that's not in my hands. Giving is in my hands. Accepting is what the other person has to give me. So so as far as giving is concerned, I think I'm going to give both. But as far as accepting is concerned, to kuch bhi chalega. Just kidding. Okay, so let me just see a few more questions. Okay, so you've given a lot of time to your dad lately. Does it motivate to dwell on father-daughter relations? Thank you so much, Angu, for asking me this question. So my dad has been a little unwell, and I have been spending a lot of time with him. I think biological relations are the ones that you just can't do without. But in the course of my life, I think, Uncle, I've had a greater and a bigger relationship with you than my father. So yeah, so you've been more than a father to me. So biological relations are of course important, but in your course of life, how you make and keep relationships is also important. Thank you for having me in your life and whenever I wanted. Thank you so much. um okay, so let me, Samir, d- Samir is asking me, do you like me? Samir, how much money do you have? It depends on that. um so Vibhor, okay, so this is a new question that I found here. So what's your dream topic or challenge on which you want to raise a voice and write a book? So in a way, I have written about Kashmir through Lieutenant Umar Fias, Undaunted. But I think I would love to talk about Kashmir again. As a topic. This is a very challenging topic. It has a very deep and huge history behind it. So I want to make sure that people are aware of that history. People are aware of their roots. People know the truth. So what we know about Kashmir is in bits and parts. किसी को कुछ पता है, किसी को कुछ पता है, किसी को कुछ पता है. So I think I would really want to take up that topic and educate people on the history of Kashmir, and what the people want and what can be given. It's not just always about wanting, it's also what you can give and what you cannot. So I think it's very important to educate not just the rest of India, but I think the Kashmiris as well. So I would love to take this daunting and challenging task of writing on Kashmir. um okay, how was your transformation from education to writing? So Savneet, it was beautiful. um, as I said, I always wanted to be a writer, and basically I'm a very introvert person, so it really worked very very well for me, because when you're writing, you're almost in your honeymoon time. You just forget that the world exists, around you or outside you, and you just go into that creative zone of yours, where you're just in touch with yourself and with the subject that you're writing. And I can't tell you, it's like any meditation or any heightened feeling that you can get. So it's really really beautiful. Isn't the challenge to get out of the comfort zone? So why not venture out? Yeah, right, fine, why not? Well, let me enjoy the comfort zone for some time. I'll venture out. Writing Undaunted could have been double edged. Didn't you think of your prospects as an author? Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Oh my God, I think Shriram is like really giving me some good questions. So yes, it was a very very double edged thing, because um, the publishers and myself, we'd spent a lot of money, we'd spent a lot of time, and we'd spent a lot of resource on creating an image of mine, writing a fiction book. But when it came to non-fiction, there were problems in people accepting and people publishing it. I had serious issues with publishing of Undaunted, and I never knew that I'm the book is not going to be accepted in a lot of ways. But when when it happened, when Undaunted came into picture and people read about it, people read the content, and I just didn't have to do anything. In fact, it was a chance that I was taking, so I didn't even have to market the book at all. It was purely based on content, and I will not lie. I will be lying if I say that I have not marketed, in my other books, all the other 3 books. I will be definitely lying. I have marketed, I have spoken about it, I've done a lot of things, but as far as Undaunted was concerned, I don't think I had to do much. Yeah. Hi Tribhuvan. Okay, I can see a few people joining in now. Saurav, hi. Ma'am, how do you manage your haters? Like, you're open-minded in everything, and I'm seeing some haters for your post and all. Really? Okay, so the only way that you can, I think, handle your haters is like not hate them. I think if you just compensate it with love, they automatically go away. So yeah, I don't give too much of heat to it. I think it's just I give them a lot of love. Sometimes if you're talking about Twitter, so if I tweet something and it has gone against somebody's view and somebody said something, so yeah, he'll probably, I have a very strict policy of no abuse on Twitter, but he'll probably abuse me, say certain words and whatever, and then it'll all disappear. And then if he's tweeted something nice, I'll just go on retweeting that, and somebody will come back and tell me, he's like, ma'am, do you know that this is the guy who spoke about you? And he'll flush out that tweet and like give it back to me, and I'm like, okay, I didn't know. Okay, the tweet was nice, so I'm happy retweeting it. So yeah, I mean, you can just compensate it with a lot of love. Hate, only love can kill hate. Okay, Prakhar, thank you. Hi, your next project. Would love to read another. I cannot promise you a biography, but it'll be very close to a non-fiction. I think I'll go ahead writing a non-fiction next. A bit of it I've already started, to be honest, but again, it's still confidential because I'm waiting for some permissions to come through. So once I have that, I can make it public. Okay, something about Undaunted and how did you start writing it, Ritesh? So Ritesh, Undaunted was just a mere request from Umar's course mates, and they were all very emotional. I didn't know Umar at all. I had never met him, but they were very, very emotional about their course mate, about their friend. And one of them just said, can you do something about it? And I said, the only thing that I can do is write, So that's what I did. And when I started writing it, I wasn't even sure if I'm going to complete the book because of the kind of challenges, that I faced while writing this book, the threats that I had, the stone pelting, and then there was my own family members dissuading me from writing such a hard topic, where a lot of lives could be jeopardized. But I went ahead and wrote it because of a strong feeling that this story needed to be told, and I believed in it, so that was what made me move on with it. I think I will get following questions. I am getting following questions, so it'll answer your question as well if I just address to those questions. Okay, Sarfaraz, I'm from Kashmir. You think Kashmir is more into Umar Fayaz or Burhan Wani as their hero? So Sarfaraz, I think I have done my bit. That Burhan Wani is not remembered and Umar Fayaz is remembered. I have done my best to make sure that this happens. And if you are from Kashmir, please make it a point. Please make sure that Umar Fayaz gets remembered and not Burhan Wani. So I will narrate one incident, from my research work that I was doing while I was in Anantnag. I visited his school to know more about him. And I've written this bit in Undaunted as well, where I've mentioned that the commanding officer of that unit, he said, I was very upset, one day when I was having dinner with him, and he's like, "Ma'am, what happened?" So I said, "I went all the way to Anantnag market to meet his relatives, and all that I saw was like Burhan Wani, the graffitis, Burhan Wani, made like Burhan Wani is alive, and he's the hero of Kashmir and all of that, So, and I was upset about it. I said, I'm working so hard. I've given 6 months. I am, stationed here. I'm traveling. I'm researching. I'm talking about. I want to know the story, but over here I get to see Burhan Wani. So, he says he called one JCO, who is a junior commissioned officer, and he's like, "Madam, kal yahan se jayenge. Just make sure that she doesn't see any Burhan Wani's name." So the next day when I went to the market again, to the civil area to meet his relatives, Umar Fayaz relatives, everything was covered. Everything was removed from there. There was no Burhan Wani. And when I came back, I just thanked him. I said, "Thank you so much. I didn't see Burhan Wani's name anywhere." And he says, "Ma'am, if an Indian citizen goes away from Kashmir thinking that Kashmir does not belong to that citizen, then what good are we sitting here for?" So a person in uniform is making sure that every citizen feels that Kashmir belongs to India. Kashmir is an integral part of India. So every person, every army officer who's sitting there, at least the ones that I witnessed and what I saw, and I am a live example. I'm the truth, which speaks about this army officer. So of course, we'll make every effort to make sure that Umar Fayaz lives in the minds of people and not Burhan Wani. And the government has now taken this decision. In fact, the PRO of Defense has made this statement that the bodies and the names of terrorists will not be handed over, which I think in a way is very, very good. He's a terrorist, and he does not need to be glorified. Okay, Kamya, ma'am, would you date a fan? Well, it depends on how rich he is. Okay, Ritesh, your favorite book. I think 11 Minutes by Paulo Coelho. I've spoken about this a lot, many times. I love that book. I have read it a couple of times myself, and I just love that book. Again, Samir, so next book, of course, it's a non-fiction, as I said earlier. How difficult it was to leave your high-paying job. So it was, Ritesh, it was a very big risk that I took with my life. Yeah, it was difficult. I can say it was difficult initially. But when, you see your hard work in a form. So, in 2014, when I came out with Deliberate Sinner, and I held that book for the first time in my hands, I was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. This makes everything worth it. I don't know if you married or you experienced a woman having a baby, so when she just keeps that baby in her arms and she says like, oh, all that pain was worth it, So I have actually seen a lot of women say that, all this pain was worth it. So this is exactly what happened with me when I saw the Deliberate Sinner in my hands in 2004, and I was like, oh my God, this was all so worth it. I'm so glad that I did it. Yeah. So yes, it just made pain a lot more bearable of that high paying job that I had to let go of. Sriram, how old are you, Bhavna? Well, I'll tell you, but I'll have to kill you. Do you want to be killed? Okay, what kind of people get your attention? I think people who can converse well, who can talk well, and I can have a meaningful conversation. I really wanted to say something else, but I realized if my mom is on this Facebook live, I'm killed. So I did not. it would have gone beep, beep. Okay, yeah, but yeah, interesting conversations are something that really get my attention. Okay, I tried to search for a hard copy, but no, hard copy would be a little difficult, especially during the lockdown time. But you could Kindle. I think it's very easily available on Kindle because it's published by Amazon Westland. So Kindle is a product of Amazon, so I don't think it should be a problem. Okay. Hi Tribhuvan. Okay, big fan. As your books are inspired from real stories, how do you manage to sum up stories in one small book? Okay. Tribhuvan, somehow, okay, all right. Isn't it difficult to leave out some important content? How do you decide that? Oh yeah, it's a very interesting question. Yeah, I think it's very easy if you place yourself in the shoes of the audience, you know. So I always do that. Like if I am a reader and I'm reading it, you know, would I like to read this or not? So it just makes my work easier. And when I'm sketching a character with my words, you know, when I'm like putting character into a person, so I also step into the character shoes and see, you know, sometimes I move out of the character shoes and like look at it from a very moralistic point of view also. But sometimes you have to give flawed characters, you know, to the audience. You have to, and some characters are flawed, you know. So when I'm talking about Omar Fiaz as a character, so he's not a perfect character, you know, all throughout. He is a very flawed character, and then how he comes out to be one of those near perfect characters is the challenge, you know, in formulating character. Yeah. And what do you have to leave? Yeah, of course, as I said that. Yeah, I hope that answers your question. Okay, being an author, do you think the background where you stay also affects, influences thoughts? So are happy where you are also. Who inspired you into writing? Yeah, so this is again a very good question. I can say that I always wanted to write, but you know, to take that plunge was a little difficult because you need somebody to give you that push, you know. So I remember one of my physics professor, I studied physics in college, and he said, so I was the editor of a magazine, and he did say that, Bhavna, you know, I think you just should leave everything, this directorship, this education, whatever you were doing, you know, because you meant for something more, you meant for writing, this is your calling. I knew it, but he made me believe it, and this is where, you know, the writing began. And I really thank him. I always you know, thank him in all the acknowledgements of my books. Okay. Okay, I think I'll just maybe take a last question. No, I did not, Samir. I absolutely did not. You're a sweetheart. Okay, why you have a deep association with the army? So I'll tell you, Savneet, I'll answer this question. I have a very deep association with the army because, of course, you know, I'm a 4th generation army kid, and just recently, you know, so my brother is posted in Kashmir. So just recently, he's got a 1-year-old daughter, and he left because you know the situation, how tense it is now, and he has this little daughter, you know. So while he was here, and you know, she would be sleeping with him, the moment she would get up and she would just turn around her face and she'll say, "Hi, Mama," and then she'll turn around and say, "Hi, Papa." So yeah, so the day he left, you know, and she just turns around and this is what my sister-in-law told me. She's like, she turns around, she's like, "Hi, Mama," and then she turns around like, "Hi," and Papa is not there, you know. So yeah, so that's why I feel so associated with the Indian Army, because the kind of sacrifice these people, these brave people make, you know, and the families make in return, where they don't see their kids growing up with they're not able to spend time with their families, with their wives, with their mothers, with their sisters. So of course, you know, you feel that it's a very, very big sacrifice. And I just hope that all of them, you know, in the recent case, as we know what happened, where we lost so many soldiers of ours. So I just hope, pray and feel that all these people come back to us alive and safe. And that's what a prayer of a sister is. And with this note, I will say goodbye to all of you. Thank you so much, and have a lovely evening, and have an even more amazing quarantine. Thank you all.